Most people don't know why the Messiah died. We really don't know why the Messiah died. Now, it's true that he shed his blood for us, but that wasn't the reason that he died. The Bible tells us why he died. If you remember, another thing that most people don't know is what the new covenant is. You know, the Bible says this in Jeremiah 31 through 33, which is been repeated in Hebrews 8 through 10 and Hebrews 10:16. He says this: I make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. He didn't say the church. The house of Israel and the house of Judah. He said, not like the covenant that I made with their fathers, though I was a husband to them. And that's the most important part of that passage. Though I was a husband to them. He said, I make a new covenant with the house of Israel, and this is the covenant. I will write my Torah, or we translate it law, on their hearts. I will take the old and put it on their hearts. And they will no more need a teacher, because I will become their teacher, and I will forgive them of their wickedness and their crookedness. The question boils down to this: why did God have to make a new covenant with the house of Israel? Because the house of Israel represented the 10 northern nations. Okay, the house of Judah, of course, the southern nation. So why did God have to make a covenant with them? The reason he had to make a new covenant with the house of Israel is because he divorced her. And the Bible says that when in Jeremiah 3:8, I believe, what Jeremiah is repeating in Deuteronomy 24, that if a man finds any uncleanness in his wife, he finds she cheated on him, he can give her a writ of divorce, put it in her hands and send her away. If she go and marries another man, he decides he dislikes her, he can give her a writ of divorce, or if he dies, she can't marry the first husband ever again. All right. She can go and marry everybody else, but the first husband she can never marry again. So why did he have to make a new covenant with us? The reason he had to make a new covenant was so that he could remarry Israel. So that he could become a new man replacing the old man. He can't marry her in the state that he was in before because he divorced her.
But this is the new covenant in my blood.
Yes, within every covenant there's always a blood sacrifice.
Right.
And there's always a meal offering and a drink offering. So the new covenant is a new wedding.